Strong.
Integrity.
Fearless.
Compassionate.
Dad.
Strong.
Courageous.
Hero.
Dad.
Selfless.
So I've been a cop's daughter almost basically since the day I was born. He's done nothing else since, and I appreciate him every single day. He is one of the most warm-hearted, caring, generous people I know in my entire life, and no matter who you are, whether he knows you or not, he will literally do anything for you, whether he gets something back for it or not. He will risk his life, he will drop everything to make sure that you have what you need and make sure you are okay, no matter where it puts him. And I appreciate that every single day. He is my hero, he's my dad, and I love being a cop's daughter.
Here I am at work, driving of course, and doing a video, which you all know is illegal. You know, being a police officer for 22 years, a lot of things have changed since I first came on in 1995. Society has changed, of course you kids know. Social media has pretty much done a lot, you know, good and bad. You know, most of you see a lot of social media and you see most of the things that we do are bad. Some things are good, probably 10% of the 100% of the things we do on social media that show us doing something, you know, good for the community or helping others or whatever. I love my job, even though it's changed as much as it has over the last 20 years. You meet a lot of people. The people you work with, the men and women, they're your family for the next 25 years of your career. The big thing that changed my life here, good and bad, is, you know, you meet people. You can't change the world. If you can change one person's life, it's a lot. The harsh reality of this job is you see a lot of negative. And the negative is with not so much in your community and in the districts you work, but also with the people you work with. A lot of stress. You see a lot of people commit suicide. I've lost 8 friends since I've been here in 20 years. It never gets old. It's hard, you know. Another thing that probably changed my life was probably 4 years ago being involved in the shooting. And you never ever, it's part of your job, but you never ever want to see somebody or take another life. But when, you know, somebody's shooting at you, you know, and it took 20 years, and I hope it never happens again for somebody to shoot at me, it's still not a good feeling. It's very surreal. It's very scary. I used to joke around and say the best way to describe it for all you kids that play games is playing Grand Theft Auto in real time. That day, I still remember that day to absolute T, from when it started to the time it finished. I remember a gentleman standing by a big concrete potter after it was all said and done, and he was crouched under. If he could have got underneath of it, he probably would have. But after the shooting was over and all that other stuff, he got up, and underneath him was his little girl. And it hit me hard because, you know, I have 2 daughters, and that's what you want to go home with, or go home to. And, you know, in my mind, I was wondering what went through his mind, and I said to myself, you know, nothing was going to hurt her. Not today, not on his watch. Okay, he was going to make sure she got home safe. And he did. And I'll remember I went home that night, and the first thing I did when I walked into the door is I walked into Moore's room, and I hugged her. Didn't say a word, didn't want to say anything, you know, just wanted her to know I was home, that, you know, I was safe. There's so many good and bad things about this job for all you kids that want to learn how to do it or want to be a police officer. It's great. I recommend going to the medical field, not us.
Officer Brian Haberkern. The first thing that comes to mind is hero. The second thing that comes to mind is guardian angel. I met Brian a little over a year ago. He was on duty and dispatched to a call for an unconscious man. That man was my father. When Brian arrived, my father had no heartbeat and no pulse. And Brian made a choice that night. He could have left my father as was, unconscious, no heartbeat, no pulse. Or he could do something to try to help him. Not even knowing the circumstances, having no idea why my father was unconscious, nothing. And he chose to help him. And he gave my father CPR until the EMTs got there. When I arrived at the hospital that night, I met Brian. He introduced himself. He told me the situation of where my father was found, how he was found, and what he did to help him. He took his job above and beyond as is, and even took it a step further. The next day, we're at the hospital, and Officer Brian Haberkern shows up to the hospital, hoping to meet my father. And we had to break it to him that my father wasn't going to make it. He was without of oxygen for too long, and he lost brain activity. Brian was genuinely upset. Again, my family thanked him for everything he's done for us and my father, and he left. We invited him to a memorial celebration for my father, and Brian attended. And he met my family, and my entire family was able to thank him. He might not realize it, but his choices that night as an officer turned what could have been the worst situation in our lives into the biggest blessing we've ever received. Thanks to Brian and his amazing dedication to protect and serve, my family was able to spend the next 24 hours with our father, and my father was able to pass away with his children by his side instead of alone. And we have Brian to thank for that. We'll forever be grateful. He's an incredible man, and the impact that he had on our life is one we'll never forget.
I can honestly say I would never have changed this for anything. So with that, I'm not going to take up any more time because I got to go fight crime. So peace out.